All right, you ready to fly like an eagle?
Yeah, like
Okay.
the song?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Are you going to sing it to me?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, we don't have time. Hey, guys, it's Matt.
And Mike.
And like the Giants video before, we lost the Eagles video audio footage as well. So we're doing a quick, roughly 10-minute recap versus our normal episode because I apparently don't know what I'm doing. But
Who knew?
right? All right, so Mike's going to kick it off here.
Okay, the Philadelphia Eagles were 7-9, last place in the NFC East last year.
Yeah, I see I do that.
And yeah, so after drafting Carson Wentz with the number 2 overall pick in the draft last year, in August, right before the preseason was about to end and the regular season start, there was this crazy series of events where Teddy Bridgewater of the Vikings tore up his knee, and the Vikings all of a sudden were in need of a quarterback. So they called up the Eagles and traded a first-round pick for Sam Bradford, which made Wentz ending up under center in Week 1 for the Eagles. And it was fascinating series of events.
And it seemed like it happened overnight.
It did.
It was like one week, you wake up and Wentz was number 2, and then the next morning you woke up and it's like, oh, Carson Wentz is the starting QB.
Because this was literally, I think, 5 or 6 days before the first game of the
Snap.
season. Yeah, so they had to move quickly, and they did. But as far as Wentz goes, his season, just like the team as a whole, was kind of up and down, but I'd say there's definitely reason for optimism there. Especially because the team has made a big splash in free agency already this offseason to address what was a very weak splash. Was that a splash sound effect? Yeah. To address a weak wide receiver core. So jumping right into the offense, they averaged 22.9 points per game last year, which was 16th. 337 yards per game, which was 22nd. 224 of those were passing yards, which was 24th. And 113 rush yards per game, which was 11th best in the league.
Yeah!
So jumping right in with Carson Wentz, he ended up having to throw the ball a lot more than he originally was probably the plan for a rookie quarterback due to game flow and a running game that struggled at times. He attempted 607 passes, which was 6th most in the league, which is definitely not what you're looking for out of a rookie quarterback. But he completed 62% of them for 3,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Not a lot of big plays for him. He had the 4th fewest 20-plus yard pass completions in the league. And he had, obviously, too many turnovers. The 14 interceptions, in addition to 14 fumbles, which luckily only 3 of them were recovered by the other team, but that's still kind of a scary number. But he looked good. Definitely looks like he belongs in the NFL and will have a lot more talent to work with around him next year.
And he has the offseason to work out all those turnovers.
Mm-hmm. And they also just signed Nick Foles back to be the backup again.
Yeah, he's back. He's back in Philadelphia this time, Mike.
Yeah. What did I say? The Rams?
Something like that.
I was wrong. Anyway, he was in Kansas City for a few years. Now he's back in Philly, where he'll be the backup. So at running back, the primary ball carrier was Ryan Matthews for most of the season last year. But in his 2 years with the Eagles, he's performed okay, but he's been plagued with some of the same issues that have followed him throughout his career, dating back to his time in San Diego too. And those issues are injuries and fumbles. He's missed 3 games in each season with the Eagles and also fumbled 3 times in each season with the team.
Fumbleries.
Moving on. I was trying to figure that out for a second, but then we don't have time. He was benched at times this year in favor of Wendell Smallwood and Darren Sproles too. And this was kind of just weird. In 6 of the 13 games he played this season, so almost half, he had fewer than 10 carries. Just wasn't a big part of the game plan at times. And rumors out of Philadelphia suggest that Matthews might be cut at some point this offseason. Snip.
Don't look at me and make us.
I didn't look at you. I am staring at my notes. I made sure not to look at you while I said that.
That was really creepy.
The implication. So the other guys in this backfield are Darren Sproles, who's
He's a little guy.
He's got to be one of the shortest people in the NFL. He's 5'6".
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
put him in your
cute.
pocket.
He's 33 years old, and he's still getting the job done all the time for this team. He's spent most of his career.
You can't find him, so yeah, he's not getting hit anymore.
He hides behind offensive linemen. They're almost twice his size.
In both height and weight.
He spent most of his career as a receiving specialist out of the backfield, as well as handling punt returns. But this past year, he actually set a career high in rushing attempts, too, with 94 for 438 yards, which was a 4.7 per carry average. He was as active as he's always been in the passing game, with 52 catches, 400 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's not going anywhere for sure. The other guy there is Wendell Smallwood, who was a 5th-round pick last year in the draft. He showed up in 13 games this season and rushed for 300 yards with a 4.1 average and a touchdown. He looks all right, but I'm not sure if they really view him as a starting option. And where things get interesting, potentially, is that the Eagles were visited by Jamal Charles this offseason.
Yeah, that
He's
guy.
obviously a free agent. Yeah, Matt's favorite name. So Charles has visited. They didn't sign him, and that was a few weeks ago now, so I don't know. The likelihood decreases all the time. But the team has also been meeting with Delvin Cook, who's a rookie in this upcoming draft in just a few weeks now. And reports indicate that they'll be considering drafting Cook or one of the other running backs in the draft. So moving on to wide receiver. This position was one of the weakest in the league last year.
Do they have a receiving core?
They had Jordan Matthews, who's actually good, and a bunch of other guys who don't matter. And they especially don't matter now that the Eagles have signed Alshon Jeffrey, who, I mean, everyone should know who he is. He was with Chicago for his whole career till now.
Wait, he was?
He's a big physical receiver, and he definitely has the talent to be a number 1 receiver, but he's dealt with a lot of hamstring injuries for almost every year of his career.
Maybe he should lay off the pork.
That's so bad. In the past 2 seasons alone, he missed 11 total games between those 2 seasons.
Oink, oink.
In every full season, I'll just keep going, and you do your sound effects. It'll be fun. In every full season he's played, he's had over 1,100 receiving yards and at least 7 touchdowns. So, so if he can stay healthy, he'll be a nice big target for Wentz to throw at in jump ball situations, back shoulder throws, all those scenarios where you need a receiver who has a large wingspan.
And he's like can fight for the ball through coverage, regardless
Yeah.
of if it's single or double coverage, which helps any quarterback out tremendously.
Right. And then another signing they made is Torrey Smith, who's been a good deep threat throughout his career. And he's still only 28 years old, so he should still have a lot left in the tank. So they'll be on the outside, and then Jordan Matthews can go back to where he's been most productive throughout his career, which is in the slot. Tight end, they've got Zach Ertz, who's one of the better receiving tight ends in the league.
Hopefully, it won't be Zach Ertz.
That's a good one. I like that one. And he was Zach Ertz this year.
I
He
know.
missed a few games with...
That's why I said it.
Okay. See, I never know if you just say things or if you actually...
Well,
if there's a reason behind it.
This is true.
Yeah, he missed 2 games last year.
I think the show should just be you talking and me saying random stuff.
We'll see how this episode plays with the audience. Yeah, so Zach Ertz is good. And their offensive line is pretty solid too. They lost a few of their starters because of injury and suspension last year, but they'll be getting back Alan Barber and Lane Johnson for 2017. And they've made some good depth signings this offseason with Chance Warmack and Steven Wisniewski. And this is shaping up to be one of the better groups in the league, in my opinion. Okay, go, Matt. A minute and a half on the defense.
Oh, yeah, I know. I got an extra 45
Extra
seconds.
time this time, yeah.
Philadelphia.
Off to a good start.
The Philadelphia defense, that's a tongue twister, ranked in the middle of the pack at 20.7 points a game, which averaged 12th, 342.8 yards, 13th, 239.5 passing yards, which was 13th, and 103.2 rushing yards, which was 15th. Lots of teeths. What I noticed a lot was that what they really excelled at was man-to-man. Their man-to-man was really good tight coverage, which was great for opposing quarterbacks. This is one of the few teams where it was definitely the point of emphasis. When the offense was hot, the defense was hot. And the great examples was Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. During Pittsburgh, they held them to a field goal through 3 quarters.
The whole game, actually.
Oh, that's right.
34-3, I believe the score of that game was.
Which is against Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell is an amazing feat. And then they just fell apart against Cincinnati. When the offense struggled, the defense just,
Imploded.
Thank you. When they're on fire and they're good, they're great at jumping the routes. against the Steelers, this was like they had 3 chances for interceptions. Ben could have thrown 3 picks, but for some reason, defenders just couldn't hold on to the ball. But
Yeah.
they were really good at recognizing, reading, and jumping the routes, which is a great sign for a defense. They just need to work on the ball handling skills because when you get the opportunity, you should take it. And they needed to cut down by penalties, and the biggest thing that they had was they allowed a lot of high completions and a good amount of yards after the catch.
that
And some of the
hurts.
defenses, we heard that they had high completion rate, but they didn't allow a lot of yak. And this is something they need to work on, is securing tackles. My highlighted player was Stephen Tulloch, rotational linebacker. He has 11 seasons. His first with Philly, only had 7 tackles. He's 32. I figured there's other places they could invest in. It's not really worth it to keep him around. But with all that's going on, I don't expect this defense to be the way it was last year. They lost one of their great corners, who went to
Dallas. Nolan
thank you.
Carroll.
Thank you.
And they also released Leotis McKelvin, who was their other starter. So they've lost both their
Just
starting
like corners. So I expect this defense to rank about the 21st to 23rd average next year.
So they'll go down a bit, you're saying?
Yes.
I agree with that. Let's see. Also through free agency, they've lost Benny Logan, who was their one of their defensive tackles last year. And in a surprising move, at least to me, they released their defensive end, Connor Barwin, who's been with the team for a while. So they've got some moves to make on defense.
So with that, that wraps up our Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you for sticking with us through this. We apologize that the original got lost, but the second one might actually be better. Actually.
It might be.
So thank you guys for sticking through it. Tell us what you think about the Eagles, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz. Are you on the Wentz wagon or not? Hit us up on Twitter.
At 2M_football.
I hate you. And we will see you guys next time.
See ya.